Hello, everybody. I'm Erick Alonso. I'm the co-founder of Co-RESIDENCY. Co-RESIDENCY is a digital artistic residency that supports artists. And during this first cohort, we're supporting artists that have been affected one way or another by COVID-19. And today we're doing one more artist spotlight. Today we're going to be talking with Fabian Monge, all the way back in Costa Rica. He's in Costa Rica with his Costa Rican coffee, and I'm in Singapore with my London gin. Cheers.
Cheers.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So Fabian, tell me, where in Costa Rica were you born?
I born in Cartago. It's kind
You're
of
from Cartago.
Yeah. It's kind of the countryside where I grew is in the countryside, so surrounded by horses and a lot of space. Very nice.
Which part of Cartago?
In a mountain really close to Volcán Irazú.
Mm-hmm.
The name is Chinchilla. A Chinchilla.
Okay. Okay. I was born in San Jose, Costa Rica. I haven't been living in Costa Rica for about a decade or so, but Cartago is still one of my favorite places. It was always one of my favorite places. If I could live somewhere, I would live somewhere in the countryside of Cartago. The weather is perfect. People are nice. The sightseeing, the mountains, the animals, it's just perfect. And I remember when I used to live in Costa Rica, I had a job in Cartago, and I had to wake up at 4 in the morning to get there because I started very early. But I remember I would take a bus and I would get off and take a longer walk just so that I could see the countryside.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
So how was growing up there? What was your interaction with art? When did you realize that you had a gift?
Yeah, my sister, my older sister, she kind of introduced me into expressive techniques of painting and like dripping paint over paper. That I think that was the kind of my first.
How old were you?
I don't know, maybe 8 or something like that. I used to draw a lot of dinosaurs. I wanna be a paleontologist as every children. I don't know. And so I draw a lot of dinosaurs, but that wasn't really like art stuff for me. It was scientific, something like that. But then my sister teaches me dropping painting and mixing colors and all that stuff, and show me Picasso and show me Jackson Pollock, and then I kind of feel a little dizzy. I remember kind of broken up with science at that little age was very
at 8 years old.
Yeah, I'm 8. Yeah, I never been a real scientist, but I have this love for biology and all those stuff since before my teenage years. I was dealing with that art or science kind of, because I had to go to the college, to the high school, and I had to decide if I want to be at the scientific college or public college. So it was that moment that I kind of take the art decision. Since then, I think I've been an artist since then.
And your sister, what's her connection with art? She's showing you Jackson Pollock at 8 years old.
She studies architecture.
Oh, so, she's an architect. Yeah. Got it. Great. And where did you go for high school?
where did I go? And
like which high school did you go to?
Yeah, San Luis Gonzaga.
So that's the in the city of Cartago. That's the main.
Yeah, it's the oldest
high school.
I think it's the oldest.
Yeah. It's a beautiful building.
It's beautiful. It has tunnels underneath the city, and you can get in the tunnels by the high school, and there are, I don't know, kilometers of tunnels.
Yeah, I used to study, well, I studied business, but I also used to study philosophy. And one of my favorite teachers was from Cartago, and he used to call it the Independent Republic of Cartago. Do you feel that all these, the old architecture of Cartago, the countryside, the different shapes and colors of and the food of that's very peculiar or particular of Cartago, do you think that has influenced the work that you do?
Absolutely. I think that decision, when I kind of give my back to sciences or something like that, whatever a child needs called science, is because the Cartago is very isolated from the academia and everything. So art is easy for me to achieve than science there.
I would describe Cartago almost like one thing that I like about it is almost retro, right? Like there's bakeries that make you feel like you're in a different time, and
it's a very different time. And after midnight, it's a lonely place. There is no one soul in the streets. It's very nostalgic and bohemian. I love it. That tundra, I don't know, the cloud there in the city. I love it. That's why I love to work at night. I think.
Do you still live there in Cartago? Is that where your studio is?
No, my studio is San Jose. I think that's why I changed. Right now I'm working more at the morning.
Got it.
But in Cartago, I love the nighttime. I don't know. I think it's something with that. You asked me if Cartago has some
influence
in my, yes, a lot. Is that bohemian kind of style in the daily basis of Cartago is kind of very lonely. You can do whatever you want if you did not need some people, right? Because people is always hidden.
There's something interesting about Cartago, where Costa Rica in general, I call it, it's like Hobbiton in the movie The book The Lord of the Rings, because it's a beautiful piece of land where people are, having fun and joking around. But if you, well, in my case, experience like leaving the Shire, or if you go beyond, if you do something different, like in your case is art, it's disrupting the society to some extent, right? And people have negative reactions about that. I mean, there's famous essays that have been reading about that in our own culture, right? Have you so Cartago is a very conservative place. What has been your experience with that?
Yeah, I think it helps me because right now I'm in the art world here in Costa Rica. I've been surrounded with a lot of progressiveness, right? And it's kind of radical progressiveness. They hate conservative people, but as I born and grew with surrounded with conservatives, I kind of being in the middle, right? I feel that my I'm kind of a connection in between those people. I feel like that, and that helps me. I feel like when I broke up with that conservative side of my growing, I was very radical and I was very fighty with them, but now I make peace with them. I just understand why they think that way, and I don't know. I don't have problems with that. So so it helps me to kind of being in the middle, not just lean too radical to any way, to any place, and keep my head cold and think a little more rational, less sensitive.
Yeah, and also obviously we can have a different type of conversation, both being Costa Ricans. I can tell you about what my experience has been with identifying with artistic figures in my country, because growing up I didn't know much about them. But there was a point where I started doing research about it, and most of the best artists from our country had to leave the country at one point or another. I'm thinking of Carmen Naranjo, which she was from Cartago. She's a magnificent writer, right? She was a terrific writer, and she was friends with Yoko Ono, and you know, when you think about it, a lady from our lovely conservative shire in Cartago reaching out to those kind of people in history. Nobody tells you about it. We don't learn about it in high school, right? The same thing about Chavela Vargas. She had to leave and go to Mexico to become who she is. And I always think about Max Jimenez. Max Jimenez was one of the most prolific artists of our country. He studied art in Europe, and he was influenced by Cuban art and Argentinian art and New York art, and he did sculpture, he did painting, he wrote novels and books and essays. And we don't lift these people up, which we should, I think.
We should.
So I always personally resented that. How do you feel about
that
personally as an artist?
Yeah, and you said those names, that very important names, but you also didn't say one name that I think is the most prolific right now, and it's a conservative guy, Jimenez de Heredia.
Jimenez de Heredia.
De Heredia. He's a very successful artist, and the art world here in Costa Rica hates him just because he's a successful religious conceptual artist.
So for those who don't know, Jimenez de Heredia is a sculptor that left the country and he moved to Italy, and he had a moment in his life when he made a decision not to go back and keep pushing his sculptor career. He tells the story, he literally tore apart his plane tickets and said, "I'm staying." And I mean, one of his statues is in the Vatican next to Michelangelo and immortalized next to the greatest, right?
And some people, the conservative people, loves to talk about him, but the progressive people hates him. I think a couple of years ago, the government put an exhibition of works of him, prestados,
They borrowed him, yeah. They borrowed his art and they made an exhibition.
Man, was amazing. It was amazing. The best exhibition ever. With big pieces of ivory. I know, marble.
Ivory, yeah. Oh, marble.
Ivory, huge.
Oh, marble, yeah, not ivory. Ivory, I think, is the one that comes from elephants.
Yeah,
yeah. So marble. Yeah, he takes these gigantic pieces of marble from Italy, and then he makes these beautiful statues.
It was a public exhibition in the Central Avenue. It was like 100 meters of pieces of him, and there was articles and articles of progressive people calling that like it was wrong, and he didn't deserve that, and a lot of stuff against him. And it's kind of, we hate they are saying kind of, we hate successful artists. We need martyrs, not successful artists. So they love,
Yeah.
they love, I, I forgot.
So while you think about that, tell me about back when you were graduating from high school, and because you're a bit of a rebel. I really don't know if you ended up going to university or not, or how did you continue to pursue your artistic career? Because I think it was in 2009 when you decided to, I'm going to do this full time, right? So what was it like after graduation? Because particularly in a very conservative country like ours, it's a big decision. People want you to be a lawyer. People want you to be a doctor. People want you to be all these things, right? So what happened after high school?
Yeah, as I said, as I tell you, I kind of decide when I get into high school. When I get into high school, I kind of know that I am gonna be an artist. I don't know.
You broke up with science.
I broke up with all of those other dreams that I used to have, and I just know that. And when I leave high school, I already make portraits for my neighbors and sell some portraits and stuff like that. So I get into a design university, La Veritas. I study there design a little, and then goes to UCR and learn a lot of technique. And then I
UCR is the University of Costa Rica, which is, well, arguably one of the best universities in Costa Rica. What were you studying there?
I studied in plastic arts, painting, sculpture, silk printing, and stuff like that. I learned a lot of
now with very go ahead.
A lot of technique, but when the people begins to get into my thinking and how I have to do stuff and how I have to think, because there is a republic, an autonomous republic of UCR, right?
That's true too.
And they kind of thinks they are another country. It's crazy. It's a socialist country or something like that. But and they want to get into your head. And then I've been very anarcho-socialist in those times, but I.
So what happened with you? Like, did you finish at Veritas University?
I didn't
finish at
UCR,
University of Costa Rica. So when did you make that decision and you said, I'm out?
When the people trying to get into my head, they're trying to put ideas on my head. So the learning stuff stop there. It becomes to dogmatic learning stuff.
So you also broke up with academia.
I broke up with academia.
And when you did that, is that when you said, okay, I'm gonna be full-time artist, that this is what I'm gonna do from now on? Okay. So tell me about your studio. How you currently have a studio in San Jose, Costa Rica, right? Where in San Jose, Costa Rica is it located?
Los Yoses, very downtown.
It's very downtown, yeah. And so I understand that in your studio, it's not just for yourself, you're also supporting other artists.
Yeah, right? we used to, because right now everything is kind of closed, right? We have works from artists and we show people about the work of some artists, but to make exhibitions right now is impossible.
So when did you open the studio?
February 18.
2018.
February 19. 18 was
this year. 19. 2019.
2019.
Oh, 2019. Okay, so from 2009, and when you said, okay, I'm breaking up with academics, I'm distancing myself from this, and 2018 or 19, when you opened your studio, what happened with your career during those years?
I work with we create a collective that is still happening. It's at nine rooms or 9 fourths or 9 quarters, and it was an exhibition collective. So we in 2011 we made the first big exhibition, like with 200 works of art. There was 9 of us, and we filled a mansion right there around this neighborhood that was a friend's grandfather. He was dead, so we take the mansion and we filled it with art, and was a very
a mansion, like a gigantic house that
like
your friends.
three floors house,
and how many artists were in this collective? 9 of you.
Nine of us, and was a very big hit, and was amazing. There is nothing happening in San Jose, so that was a very something, right? The next year we made once again in the same place, but this time was impulsed by a curator, Italian curator, Filippo Tattoni. He was an advisor for the Queen of I don't know where, and for Elton John, an art advisor. And he was amazing. He teaches a lot, and
so he's the guy who advises Elton John when he wants to buy art.
Yeah.
So he liked your art and the other 8 artists that were with you. He supported this collective, right?
And he is the husband of the U.S. ambassador here in Costa Rica for that period. And he was like, I want to do something with art here in Costa Rica. You guys, I love what you're doing. Let's make another one. And
that's surprising. That's shocking.
That was very big deal, and was a very successful exhibition. We made like $30,000, something like that, with just at the first night. Just looking at him working, like making kind of sort improvisada.
He improvised. He just
improvised audition. Subasta improvisada.
Oh, he was doing an auction, an improvised auction.
And he made like, in the middle.
You guys made like $30,000.
In the middle of the exhibition of the opening, and the very richest guys in the opening, they're both like pushing for the same work. It was great, and the work was from a friend of us. So we all just testify.
You witness
something very important that changed a lot my life. And
I think it's when you see that there's a machine, there's an industry of art, right? And I think it's more interesting than any other industry, right? And maybe it has some of the negative connotations of these gigantic industries, but there's something that's very unique about the world of art. It's just fascinating, right? So after this, did you continue to do? Where did your art travel? I know that you've done exhibitions in Costa Rica. I saw you mentioned certain things on your resume about things in Santiago de Chile, in South America, and in Europe. What did you do in these places, or how did your art travel?
It moves by online, or the people that came here and somebody recommend to come here, and we talk, and it's just like that. That Filippo once sell something when he moved to Italy and years ago. He he sell one of my works from there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of this kind of the dissemination of my work is not as big as I want, but I'm
But
trying.
are those experiences with Filippo and with I don't know, Elton John's art advisor or whatever, did that inspire you to open up your studio and commercialize in a positive way your art? Is that where you got your inspiration?
I just realized that money is very important, and that isn't so bad, and that it's a good idea, and
Yeah.
and I realized that the market needs good products. If you don't put good products in the market just gonna sell bad products.
Yeah.
So if you love art, is your obligation to put good product in the market. So
Mm-hmm.
and then I realized that people love this kind of non-value art, so kind of performances that maybe is 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 very hard to monetize,
Yeah.
and those kind of stuffs. I love that stuff, but if you didn't monetize that, how you live of that? How can you
Mm-hmm.
live as an artist if you cannot sell your art? So you have to learn to sell your art because you want to be an artist. It's kind of logic thinking, right? So
Yeah.
I understand that I have to sell my work, and that I have not to be afraid of the market, and maybe understand it more, and understand the philosophy of art, put it in my work, in my product. But the market
Mm-hmm.
is the market. You have to use it, if you want to live as an
So,
artist.
and who's been supporting you in I don't know, developing a business model and I don't know, I don't know if you have like a web page or buy art online. Who's supporting you in that area?
Well,
Or do you do? Are you you do everything, or I don't know.
I receive very some help for a lot of places. Maybe I I I always tell my clients that what I'm trying to do is to become better and better, and that I want that the money that they pay for my paintings, for my work, I want I want that money to increase, to grow. I want that. I didn't want to be a charity. Ah, I
Yeah,
buy
of
you
course.
this. I want to they look at as an investment, and
Yeah,
so
sure.
so I think that the spread the idea of myself. So they say to other people, hey, I buy this from this artist. He's amazing. He likes the market. He likes that stuff. So people call me, people that I didn't know who they are or something like that. I I
So
I
in
I
yeah,
trying
go
to
ahead.
I trying to make that dialogues with my clients, and that they understand that art market is a good idea, and that maybe they can do something with their collections and not just help artists. That this is kind of the idea here in Costa Rica, because the art market is not very powerful, right?
Yeah, but I think that's the I don't know many places like your studio in Costa Rica. I don't know if there are. I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of places. So when you opened the studio and before the pandemic, um, what did you get a lot of visitors in your studio?
Ah, yeah. Yeah, Costa Rica is not so um, so effervescent shows. That never happens a lot of stuff. So if you do something, you're gonna be heard. Everybody gonna notice you if you do
Exactly.
something. So it's easy to uh,
To go
sacar la
beyond.
cabeza. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easy to do that, but then you have nothing else. So you have to build it because
Yeah.
after that there's nothing else to do. So right now I'm trying to connect with the world. I trying to expand my page and a lot of more in self-interest than the collective stuff, because the collective stuff needs a lot of energy when there was a chance to bring people to the studio and everybody sees the works, and but right now we can bring people here is closed. It's only for clients. We have
Yeah.
the chance to make big exhibitions, so I have to focus on my expansion, right? I don't know the place we need to we are working on remodelations and stuff like that, and we are working on sustain the place, but I think the best way is for us, my girlfriend and for me, to grow up and to kind of look all the ways that we can get into the market the
Yeah,
best way.
I remember in your application you mentioned that one of the ways you would use the stipend from co-residency is to keep the studio alive, right?
Ah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the money that you guys give us is important, right? I don't know if that is needed to say right here, but it's
I
important
don't
for
know if it's
us.
necessary. I remember that you said that, and I mean, obviously, it makes me very happy to understand that it's supporting and keeping your studio alive.
Yeah, yeah, and as I said, we have the works of people, and there is a small group of people that really really are thankful for us to exist and for us to bring this the place. And I know this maybe sounds a little I don't know, but I know people we inspire people to do stuff. I know that because they told us, and we look at people doing something similar, and
Yeah.
I love that. I love that stuff. I want this Costa Rica to explode in art. There are a lot of creative people, and there is no a lot of incentive. Is no
I think
incentive,
so.
almost no incentive.
But what's wonderful about that is, like you said, when none of that has been done before, and you're the first one, you're a pioneer, so you become the example for the rest,
Yeah.
and that's a very powerful position to be in.
Yeah, yeah, but you need a lot of energy to get there, right? And to sustain yourself there, and it's obviously the bad part that people that I don't know thinks of you that not the way that you want people thinks of you. And every place, right? The rumors and stuff like that. That happens a lot of here. I don't know. Maybe the last time we make a cooperation with three spaces, three other spaces, one institutional and one private, and us. The curator was a woman. We have three women here with us. My girlfriend, it was another, and the other place has like a three women, something like that. And the critics was there wasn't enough women.
So
And
people
we are just
criticize just because they want to criticize. I
yeah,
think
and
I've
it was
learned I've learned that when you decide to do something, right, in like in your case, you decide to do something that's different from anybody else, you have two groups of people: the ones that are going to tell you don't do it, or you're going to fail, you're going to go bankrupt, and then people that are going to sort of support you, but they don't know how to support you. And then when you finally are doing it, everybody seems to have an opinion, and I think that's always going to be around you. But what I've learned most recently is, and I'm trying to apply it to my life, is you have to remember your why. Why did you decide to do this on the first place? What was the energy that moved this decision? And when things get difficult, and when there's people gossiping, or there's people criticizing, and there's people that don't understand, you go back to that place and you say, why did I start doing this in the first place? And you keep going and walking that path. And then everybody else just, all those rumors, all these people, they just stay behind at some point.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah. So tell me about the topics that inspire you when you do your paintings, because I think there's a lot of philosophy, and there's a lot of philosophers that have inspired your work.
Yeah, I got it. I think I love to use stuff that affects everybody, and I know people around the world love words. It doesn't matter if they understand those words, but the sound of words, people loves it, and people feel. I don't know, loves it. People is just feel that a lot. They are just connect with the voices, and optic, but that is very hard for me because I'm not a writer. I deal more with images, so I can do something like that. I know that there is some kind of images that affects everybody the same. It doesn't matter race, gender, or age, or whatever. And there are some effects that affect, do the same. They are universal. So I want to deal with that and my philosophical ideals, so I can make a mix and trying to talk about those philosophies through those effects, or through those images that affects everybody, and that makes me work in like five different directions. That one is with perspective, and trying to get wrong perspective, so understand, so make the people understand that when they look at something, you transform that something. You put a perspective, so that something didn't have a perspective. You put it on, and if you look at the image, that transform image with your perspective from the other side, it gonna be look weird. Looks like a wrong perspective, right? So you understand that kind of work is for me to understand that every time we look at something, you transform it, and it's not to put in the shoes of another person. It's to understand that you transform what you are looking at, and the other person gonna see it wrong, right? And this is one. The other one is like a big stains. It's like a Rorschach, ink stains. Like, so I went to. The name is meaningless data, and I want to stimulate your interpretation qualities. So you look at something that I suggest a little, and then you explode, you explore in your capacity of interpretations. So that work is for me to give you a place in uncertainty. A place in uncertainty is the place where creativeness explodes. Stimulates uncertainty, stimulates
Creativity, yeah. Uncertainty, yeah. And I think we were talking to Isabel de la O the other day, and she was talking about how pandemics, war have inspired incredible creative work.
I believe that a lot.
So you were talking about the power of words, and I mentioned Maya Angelou a lot. I love Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou used to say that she believed in the power of words, and that words were like things. That she said, "I'm certain that words are things that they go through the floor, they climb on the wall, and they go on top of the table, and they get into you." Right? And in her creative process, I remember when she talks about, she was asked to do a poem for the United Nations in front of everybody, all the heads of state. And this is after she did an inauguration poem for President Clinton. And she says, in my creative process, when somebody asked me, can you write a poem for the planet? She talked to rabbis, she talked to priests, she talks to presidents, she talks to all different kinds of people to get, a piece of their wisdom, and then she sits down with a dictionary and she starts writing her poem, right? What's your creative process like, since you were talking about the power you're trying to achieve through images, what Maya Angelou very eloquently achieved through words? So what's your creative process when you decide to sit in front of the canvas, or when you start painting with ink? Like, what's your creative process?
It depends the line of work. It depends, but with meaningless data, it is always came first an image. It's kind of a composition of something, forms or colors, something like that. And when I got that, I just look images at the computer or in the street, or so which image can fit with that I have in my mind, that I don't know what it is, but I know that I can overpose with a lot of images, and then I'm gonna fit. And when I got that, this is it. It's time to work, and I'm gonna finish till I finish it. With the perspective, I don't know, that is it's weird, because it's very mathematical. So the inspiration came earlier. I don't know where the inspiration came, but now I have the will and the need to feel those mathematical patterns. I don't know. It's kind of, I need to solve this problem. So there is a lot of problems. So I don't know. It's just something that I need to do. And there is other lines of work. One of those is very therapeutic, and I just kind of, I don't know, throw up over the canvas or the paper. I just do whatever. Don't think a lot. Just expression. I love that line of work, but it didn't sell very well. So I do it for therapy more than anything.
I would love to see some of that work, because I'm sure it surprises you. Like wow, I didn't know that was inside of me, or wow, that I forgot about that, or it's like, wow, it seems like a
for me it feels very familiar. It's so, I don't know, it's very familiar. I don't know, the other thing, the perspective things, the perspective stuff, I feel always amazed. It always amazed me. The result is I can look at that for hours. Is always amazed me. When I finish very therapeutic work, it didn't amaze me a lot. It's kind of I ah, I just take it out. Nice, okay, and next, and it's very different. But as you said, he made. I always read a lot of stuff. I love
You
to
mentioned Foucault a lot. You mentioned Nietzsche a
I,
lot.
I I like Foucault in a art in the plastic arts, and, but in the philosophical way, not so much. I love to make analogies and be in big ambiguous kind of a
Yeah.
way in my plastics, but in politics and philosophy, I think is not very useful to be
Mm.
ambiguous.
And when it comes to going back to the therapeutic work of art, it makes me think of a story of Salvador Dali. He used to be fascinated by a painting called The Angelus by Millet. Since he was a child, he was obsessed by it. When he was a kid in school, they used to put it like on the window at the door in the entrance to his classroom. And the Angelus is a prayer in the afternoon in the Christian world, right? So the painting, it's a man and a woman standing in front of a basket of potatoes in the afternoon, and well, supposedly they're doing the afternoon prayer, but the woman looks sad, and the woman is a little bit taller than the man in perspective on the painting, but they both bow their heads, and Salvador Dali was obsessed by it. He did many paintings in his abstract ways based on it. And he used to say that the woman was like a mantis that wanted to eat the man. And, he did all this introspective work just through that painting. And, you can think about his issues with probably sexuality when it came to Garcia Lorca and his obsession with Gala and all of those things. But what's so interesting about it is that Dali's obsession with this painting got to the point where he got it off the museum, and he asked for the painting to be X-rayed. And in the X-rays, they realized that what was in the middle of both figures was not originally a basket of potatoes. It was a tomb of a child. So all the sadness and all the controversy that Dali did perceive through the painting had something behind it. And so the story is that Millet changed the tomb for a basket because death paintings were not selling very well or something like that. But what's uniquely interesting is all of that obsession and introspection that Dali took from just one painting, and you could see many of his paintings where he played with those two, with recreating the Millet's painting. So introspective work can be fascinating looking back. It might not tell many people many things, but I think it's important to do that as much as you do the other line of work, right?
Yeah, yeah. When you make something so personal that art is, and you transform that into work, and you have to live from that, you change your relation with that. It's not therapeutic. It's stressful and a lot of not so good things. So I realized that I has to do this therapeutic thing, even
Yeah.
if it didn't sell, because I have this. This is my primordial link with art. Is something that I has to do if I want to keep that bond uh, pure. But the other thing, the other stuff, my work, my adult work, is
Yeah.
is this other relation. Is an investigation. Is something stressful and have a lot of responsibilities. This one is my vacation. Is very free, and I love it. But I
I
love
have
it.
a question for you.
I love that I
So,
can do different in between the relations, right? Difference
yeah,
between relations in art, in artwork.
I have a question for you. So, in the pandemic fables, which is part of the work that you're doing with co-residency, you have these, black and white figures. You're painting with black ink, right? And you have all these shapes surrounding the body of people. And then you also have this line of work where you have all these uh, more symmetric lines of that are actually colored. That you replicate those two pieces of work a lot, right? Are they connected in any way? Do you know the ones I'm talking about? Obviously, the pandemic fables, but then I'm also thinking of the ones that you do with many shapes and curves and colors,
Yeah.
right? Are those related,
Mm,
or they're
They
separate?
are they are related in the same way that everything is related.
Yep.
That apart from the therapeutic stuff, they are all investigation of universal perception, and how can I put some philosophy in those universal kind of ways of seeing. So I know the stripes, white and black and white generates color and vibration inside the brain of everybody. I know that when you put some shapes, very suggestive shapes of color, people wants to decifrar, wants to interpret it, interpret
Yeah.
what is that they are looking at. And so I know that that thing happens is very different from each other. Is different. The pandemic fables generates a different effect than the meaningless data works, but the stuff, the links is the optic effects,
So, for example, the painting that you have behind you, it's one of those that you do with on the other side, the
yeah,
one that has the black ink.
yeah,
At the bottom, you have a colorful palette.
yeah.
What's that all about?
It's an investigation, right? And so I trying to stimulate color in people's eye. So when they look at the stripes, maybe they didn't catch the color. So I put some colors underneath, and that maybe stimulates them to look at colors in the black and white stuff. But that was just a test. I test that like 5 times or something like that. I maybe do it again, but I looking another way too that you're gonna look it
Okay.
sooner.
So I want to, I know we've talked about this throughout our residency, but for the purpose of this interview, can you explain in a couple of minutes the work that you're doing for the co-residency? What are the pandemic fables?
Yeah, is I think the pandemic fables, as I told you the other day, is is empowered by the crisis, by crises. Is kind of a way to look at crisis and to look at ideas and to look at what happens with people and how linked we are each other in those and that stuff, and in crises and ideas and constructs that uh, help us to go through crisis and the daily struggles of life. So that's all. And right now, I think isolation and this period need for something that tells people we are in this together. Let's help us each other. We need to understand that we are here all together, and we can communicate, and we get through this thanks to ideas, and ideas has to uh, being expressed. You need to
Yeah,
express,
they have to come from somewhere. That's right.
and you have to be open to ideas and not just close ideas and all those stuff. That's why I have some problems here in Costa Rica. People love to make art, political art. I love politics. I love to talk about politics, but I hate political art. I think political art is very no, I didn't hate it, but I think political art is very polarizing. Is very polarizing. Is something that didn't. It's just a bubble. It's just
Yeah,
have you heard like a
polarization
bubble?
is not something that we need right now. We've seen how much damage polarizing or
Yeah.
polarization can make.
I
Yeah,
prefer to recognize what unites us than to focus on what divides us.
yeah,
It's obvious we are divided. It's obvious we are diverse. It's obvious we are different. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about what we are similar and how we can make it together instead of polarizing and hate each other. Like,
yeah. And that's where all the lines connect with each other, and that's where all the colors and the curves merge with each other, right? And all these thoughts, differences actually can create a beautiful piece of art.
thank you.
Fabian, so I usually finish these interviews with some quick fire questions. This year, the world of theater lost James Lipton, and James Lipton used to do this interview for the Actors Studio, and at the end of his interviews, he would ask these questions, and he does this based on it's pretty much the Proust questionnaire. So this is our twist or take on that questionnaire. So I'll just ask you some questions and you just give me the first answer that comes to your head. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
It's just one answer.
One answer, but I guess if you want to give me more than one, we can make that exception. Whatever comes to your head is fine.
Okay.
So Fabian Monge, who is your favorite artist?
I love Stravinsky. I love Picasso. I love Duchamp, Basquiat. I love Agnes Martin and I don't know, Camille Claudel. I love musicians, the Risa, David Bowie, jazz, Billie Holiday, and Hector Lavoe. I don't know. I love people that wrote, that read something, that just made something special. Even the surrounds didn't want them to grow and to express.
Yeah. And the world is better because they did.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite heroine or hero, fiction or not non-fiction?
I think that guy Stravinsky is one of my very best heroes. He's amazing. Vasily Stravinsky, you have to look at him. Is a Russian. I don't know what's the name of that, but it was censored by the Stalin communist Russian party, and he just died there. But his ideas was so cool, and he was so rebel against that regime, and I just love that guy. It's amazing.
What's your favorite word and what's your least favorite word?
Freedom.
Mm-hmm. Freedom is your favorite word, and your least favorite word?
Freedom.
You love it and hate it?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's very big, right? It's a very it's a enormous responsibility. If you want to be free, it's like emancipation, right? You're gonna be alone. You're gonna help yourself. It's freedom, and but it's great, but it's very hard to be. So I think is a nice word to be in both sides.
Yeah. What turns you on and what turns you off?
Turns me on ideas, and no ideas.
Like, the lack of ideas turns you off. What sound or noise do you love, and what sound or noise do you hate?
I love birds in the morning, on the afternoon. A lot of the mountain. I love birds. I fucking hate motorcycles.
What's your favorite place in the world?
This is easy. My family has this farm in Cartago, and it's very high in the mountain. It has a huge, enormous rock that stands over like 600 feet over a forest. I dreamed with that place. I close my eyes and I've been there. It's kind of very familiar for me. I've been, wherever I am, I can dream with that place. It's important for me. I think it's kind of an important place. I love that place.
Send me a photo of that place. Okay. What inspires you to continue doing your work?
I don't know. What inspires me?
What keeps you going?
The ideas, the same ideas that I want to promote, or that I think I made it up, and I want them to go there and work. But there are some ideas that I just love, as aren't mine, but I want them to grow and to spread.
What's your idea of happiness and what's your idea of misery?
Happiness is when you have a lot of goals, when you are stepping up levels and growing and go ahead. And misery is kind of steadiness and no movement and just not.
Fabian Monge, what does this global crisis mean to you?
It's the war is I think that the history and the war is a very dramatic play, right? And as every step there's something bad happens, so every bad situation is an opportunity to go ahead. So I think this crisis, as the same as every other crisis, is an opportunity. And for art is very important, because art has to reveal and to make clear how important art is, firstly in this kind of period.
Fabi, finish these sentences for me. Art is.
Art is. Art is a catalog of expressions and interpretations.
Art allows me to
communicate.
Without art,
life will be a mistake.
Fabian Monge, just like I would have loved to talk to Chabela Vargas or Carmen Naranjo or any of, or Max Jimenez, it's an honor to have you as part of this art residency, and it's an honor to have had this conversation with you. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you. The same.
Keep doing art. Thank you for what you're doing.
And thank you for what you're doing too. See you
all
around.
Right. Big hug, man.
Big hug.
Bye. See you.